With the war against insurgency in the Northeast now over 10 years, several questions come to mind, one of which is the effect on infrastructure. In 2016, an assessment program put the infrastructure loss at $9 billion. 4 years after that report, the fight continues. Join us on this journey down a region immersed in insecurity. Death, displacement, destruction, annihilation, all summarize the effect of insurgency in the northeast region of Nigeria. The region, which is made up of 6 states, Adamawa, Bauchi, Borno, Gombe, Taraba and Yobe, occupies a land area covering 280,419 square kilometers, 1/3 of the country's total land mass. Since Boko Haram first struck in July 2009, it's been tales of sorrow and harvest of tears in Borno, Adamawa and Yobe states, the epicenter of the mindless attacks. The activities of the sect, which escalated by 2014, seriously impacted both economic and social infrastructure. 2 million people are said to have been displaced, and number of deaths is put at over 20,000.
We know the projection has been there that at least over 20,000 people had been killed as a result of this Boko Haram. This is just a mere projection. It's not an actual data, so it's not something we can really rely on. The second one is the approach or the scope of the deaths. We know many communities had been affected, especially in Yobe. You talk about out of the 17 local governments, 12 local governments were directly affected by this Boko Haram carnage, which means most of the people that died mostly from these locations. Another thing is the number of people that died. Also, you have to take into consideration the people that are from Gujuba and Gulani local government are the worst hit. Especially there was a time between 2013 and 2014, the Boko Haram insurgents had occupied this place for at least 1 to 2 years, meaning the devastation and impact of this number of deaths is much, much more in this area. Again, another approach of the Boko Haram is to attack, schools. We know, like in Yobe State, there are schools and institutions of government that have been attacked. We know of Mamudo, where a number of students were killed in their dormitories. We know of College of Agriculture. Gujuba, several teachers and students were killed and massacred. We know of Government Science Secondary School in Patuskum. So many students and staff were also killed. We know of FGC Bunyadi. Several students were also killed, and several other institutions of learning. So this is a targeted attempt by Boko Haram to scare away people from staying and working in those places. Apart from the deaths, displacements, then you have destructions. Destructions also is particularly targeted on basic social and economic facilities. The main target and goal of the Boko Haram is to hinder or to stop economic and social activity, so that people will just be reluctant and will just be doing nothing. They will become ideal, and they say an ideal mind is a devil's workshop. And therefore, the whole target is to look at what are those areas of productive forces in the society. When those places are attacked, it automatically reduces or stops means of livelihood and production. And the target has always been number one, on schools.
According to the Northeast Nigeria Recovery Peace Building Assessment of 2016, the impact of the terrorist act was put at $9 billion, with Borno State taking the lion's share with a loss of $5.9 billion. The assessment also shows that 30% of houses in the state were destroyed, 5,335 classrooms torched, 201 healthcare centers, 1,630 water sources, 665 municipal buildings, 726 substations were also affected. 4 years after the 2016 assessment, the region is still counting the cost, which accrued in all shades and patterns.
Let's just take a brief look at some of the facilities that they have destroyed so far. Our roads, for example, apart from the insecurity that they have visited on these roads, they have also destroyed some of our bridges. They have destroyed the quality of the roads, and they have also blocked the opportunity of undertaking repairs, of reconstructing. If you could remember, before the advent of the insurgency, the dualization of the Maiduguri-Kano Express Road has been on. But because of these, or the activities of these insurgents, some portions of the road could not be completed, particularly from Maiduguri to Damaturu, and maybe some portions in Yobe State. Today, if you want to continue with this project, you have to pay for more because the contractors have demobilized, and naturally with inflation, the cost will increase. Maybe decide to do a computation of what it will cost, particularly in the Northeast. You realize that the amount is enormous, and we just don't have the resources in this country to start rectifying or putting some of these things back. And not only that, some of these facilities were built even before colonial times. They are like historical monuments. You just can't replace them today. We have missed them forever. So this is just for infrastructure. And don't forget, infrastructure is at the heart of our economic survival. If the roads are not good, agricultural products will not be transported, commerce will not be undertaken, and so many other things will not happen. Most importantly, investors will not bring their money. Nobody in his own right senses will take money and say he's going to the Northeast to invest today, because money is a fearful commodity. It does not go to where it will suffer. So you could see the linkages. And the psychological offset this insurgency has caused. People have left these places. And because they have left, their houses have become like some archival materials.
The impact of the insurgency has brought damage to man and materials and a psychological dimension that should be worrying.
Anybody who attempts to come up with a cost is most likely going to be inaccurate. And I don't want to give you inaccurate figures, because we are talking about a situation where you go and rebuild a community, and then the Boko Haram comes and brings down all that you have rebuilt. There are some schools that were rebuilt as many as 3 to 4 times in Borno State. I remember one particular area in Kaga local government area. The place is called Benishe. I remember one particular school that was rebuilt 4 times. What you don't know is that it has altered the psychology of a lot of people. I will tell you that I found myself, I was in Abuja on the 31st of January, and then we went out with a friend, and somehow we were out. I think it was a friend, it was his birthday, a friend of mine. We went to see him there, and then we were leaving. As we were just dropping, then there were, some knockouts, and all of a sudden, what came to my mind was probably an attack. So, but the other guy who was with me, who has never been to Borno, was in celebratory mood when he had the knockout. So this is how war alters your thinking. Now, if I, as somebody who works with the governor, who is educated, then what more of people who have faced war directly? There are people whose parents were slaughtered right in their presence. There are women who saw their husbands killed in their presence. Sons, daughters who saw their parents executed before them. This kind of memories, only follow people to the grave. So this is one of the aspects of the war that I am deeply concerned about.
While various efforts by the government to bring the onslaughts under control continues, it is important to note that the more the war lingers, the higher the cost for us to bear. Don't forget, you could always be part of Eyewitness Report on Channels Television by simply taking shots of events around you and uploading to our Eyewitness platform, which you can find in the Channels TV app. So get to your app stores and start downloading the Channels TV app. Launch and swipe to reveal the Eyewitness portal and then upload your stories. For now, let's see what you already posted for the week.
Good afternoon, good people. I know the weather is very hot.
Our first video comes in from Sirilere in Lagos, sent in by a resident who had purchased sachet water and drank only to find out how dirty it was.
You know, look at the one we've drunk. Imagine I've drank this water without knowing, before realizing. In fact, even my one-year-old child has drank this water. Hey, look at the water. Look at the particles inside. Can you see? Can you see? I've drank out of this one.
Our eyewitness, while calling on people to watch out what they drink, has also requested the government to please regulate these sachet water producers. We also have these photos showing the desilting of Ido Auto drainage in Lagos. Our eyewitness applauds the efforts but wants it sustained. Thank you, and do keep them coming. Don't forget, you can be the change you seek in others and make all the difference in your community. Start shooting and start posting those pictures and videos. Till next week, I'll keep my eyes on you. Bye-bye.